Hey guys, this is Gak Dasher Lee. I'm gonna make this video. I'm gonna try to do it fairly quickly so it's not too terribly long. But I have a couple of things that I really think probably need to be discussed, and maybe some solutions for some stuff. So one, uh, just briefly, I DoorDash, and I really have taken a liking to the Earn by Time. So that's my favorite deal. So one thing that I really wish DoorDash would do is a Top Dasher, I should be able to log in and do Earn by Time as I see fit. I do understand why they don't do it, but I still think they should. Gas here is 275, and I drive a F-150, and I'm getting, which I took a screenshot of it, 21.1 miles per gallon. Some jackwad seemed to think I wasn't doing that, but anyway. So, just a couple of basic things about me on that in my dashing. Very limited dashing. I do, my goal, depending on what I want to do, is about $100 a day, so it's very limited. So, whether I'm doing Earn by Time or Earn by Order, I just make the money that I want to make. I will say this: in my experience so far, in my market, about 80% of the people are tipping with Earn by Time. With the same orders, I just don't see them. Normally, if I pick and choose, I'm getting either 100% or between 95 and 100% of everything has tipped if I just pick my orders. But this way, if I don't, just strictly taking orders, and I do not decline very many at all. I mean, I think I've declined one Earn by Time order in the last 50 or so that I've done. I've got, I think it's 89%, and the other 10 were from when I got to Earn by Order, which just, they shoot you 4 orders in a row that are just bad. Now, one of the things for me is strictly, it's a mental thing where I physically don't see a $2 order. I don't see anything come up. It's just an order. There's no dollar amount or anything like that. So I do take my chances every time I do it, but again, my experience is 8 of 10 are tipping, but that doesn't mean you're going to have good days, every day. I mean, yesterday on a Friday, I don't know what the deal was, but, I had 11 orders, made $66. I had 2 orders that I didn't even do because they were canceled. That's another thing. It was a canceled order, but, I made like $11.50 off the canceled order. So overall, I made like $78, and then called it a day. So it wasn't terrible, but it just wasn't a good day. Okay, so so really, and I say this about my mileage is this, because really you have to, you really need to understand your mileage and what it really costs. For me, right now, it's 13 cents a mile. So the real cost of using gas is not really that much on an order. I mean, you think about it, even anything under at 5 miles, that's 65 cents for gas. Generally what I do is I count $1 for it. And then, also maintenance on your vehicle. You have to include that. But, here's the thing that I think people see an amount and they think, oh my gosh, it's crazy. But, so, I've had my truck for like 7 years. I bought it brand new 2017. And drove it for about 5 years back and forth to my regular job till I retired. And the last 2 years I've been door dashing with it. So at that time, though, right shortly after I started door dashing, pretty much, on a regular basis, I had the battery, the alignment, the tires, everything came due, but it was just because it was normal wear and tear from the 5 previous years. Actually, more, it was about like 6 years, because it's probably a year into door dashing that I had all this done. So, generously between, and oil changes for me were free up until the last one I just did, So generously, I would say, between discounts and everything, I spent about $2,500 on tires, battery, alignment. There was, one oil change in there, plus I had a brake cable or little grommet or something came loose that was like $150 or something like that, So, a little bit things. So generally I'm saying 2,500. I've done over 5,000 deliveries. So on average, that's 50 cents a delivery for maintenance on the vehicle. So you figure $1.50 for gas. If I use every 5 miles is $1. 10 miles is two. I can adjust in between the one and the two or whatever, and then 50 cents for the delivery. So that's you really have to you should really be aware of what it really costs you to do so that you can make a smart decision on whether you're picking something up. All right, so now a couple of things that I really think that DoorDash has bamboozled people into thinking you need to worry about. Number one, I hear people talking about working per hour and how much they want to make per hour, and strictly, saying I just do DoorDash. I don't do any other apps. I strictly do DoorDash. Don't do anything. So I'm only talking DoorDash, and I can make $100 days every day if I want to. Again, I said something about the $77, but I left, probably 3 o'clock to come home and watch the baseball game Friday. So and being retired, I kind of do what I want to do here and there. If I'm not feeling it, I go home. If I don't want to go to work, I just don't go to work. So anyway, the money's out there if you want to make it. You just have to go out and do it. And the only true way to make money, and I'm not telling you have to take every order, but the only true way to make money is to take orders and deliver them. That's the only true way you can make money at these gig apps. Now, whether you have a dollar amount that you're looking for, whether you have certain mileage you're not willing to go over, or whatever the case may be, you have to decide on that. You may have to lower your standards sometimes if you want to make more money, and that's just the reality of it. But for me, everybody talks about this hidden tips. Now, my market, I think, is fairly steady, and after 5,000 deliveries, I think I've got a pretty good grasp of it. So, if we get anything under $6, there's no hidden money there. It's all what it is. If you see a $6 plus sign, generally 95% of the time, you're going to get between, a penny and 75 cents, and the other 5% you might get $1, but even that's rare. And then once you get past a certain amount in mileage, in my market, it all shows up. If I see an $18 order, unless somebody's handed me a cash tip on top of that, that's what it is. There's real no hidden stuff. So I know that people want to talk about it and they want to get all bent out of shape about it, but reality, if you're taking a $6 order that has a plus sign, you know what that's going to be. And if you're taking it, you're well aware that you're taking it because it's good enough on face value. So I think we need to kind of get out of that mode and stop worrying about that and just think about what you want to make for the day, what you need for the day, and just go make it. That's really the big thing. And I know some people are worried about, tipping and whatnot. I've got my own theory on tipping and what it should be and how you should do it or whatever, but I'll get into another video on that. All right, so there are 3 things that I really think that DoorDash needs to do. One of them is the algorithm. The algorithm needs to be plain as day out there for us to see. And that means, what metrics are you using? Is it, the vicinity of the restaurant, the customer rating, the acceptance rate, the completion rate? What is it that you're using? And then how is each one weighted? Is it 50% on the vicinity, 25% on the, acceptance rate, and then the last 3 are, maybe 10, 10, and 5 or whatever, however many metrics they use. But that needs to be, it doesn't have to be completely detailed, but it should be pretty basic because there's only a certain amount of things that they can use and put in the algorithm saying, these are the 5 metrics or 10 metrics or whatever it is we're using to determine who gets an order at what time. Because there's been too many times that I've sat at a particular area, and I'll say, in our area we have a larger parking lot that is right by McDonald's, and by that McDonald's, half a mile either way, you've got a Charlie's cheesesteak, a Wendy's, a Taco Casa, uh, Long John Silver's, a Popeyes. You've got Raising Cane's, which I don't do because I don't have the red card. Subway, Little Caesars. You've got Panda Express, McAllister's Deli, Chick-fil-A, Taco Bell, and then a host of smaller local restaurants. So it's a pretty good place to have order. We've been sitting there too many times, with my ratings, and I think I'd have to look at them. But I want to say right now it's like 89, 99, and 95, and a 4.96, because that's another thing. I got a one star rating, which I know was false, but they didn't look at it like they said they would, and I'm just not going to mess with it. But anyway, that's another thing. Another thing I think they should take care of. But the algorithm for that needs to be out on so we can see it. It needs to be clear and present for everybody to see. Now, two other things are pretty similar that I think that need to be done, and I think this, number one, will help drivers, and it will help DoorDash in itself, and that is to institute customer and restaurant ratings by the drivers. And anytime that a customer calls in and makes a false statement, false complaint on food not ordered or whatever the case may be, when it's found to be not true, that will be a mark on them, and that will go on, right beside their name. And along with the customer driving, like I had a customer, which I knew full well that she was not going to tip, but she put, I'll tip after you deliver, which, as a earned by time, I just don't see it, so that's fine, but I knew that she wasn't going to tip. But, my deal is, if you're writing that on the deal, you get a mark, and that's a negative mark, because you're writing and you're falsifying something to get, somebody to pick it up. So that, we need to correct that on any comments that are made there. Any rude or comments or wanting extra stuff that they put in, that as a driver, we should be able to rate them. Customer was rude, didn't tip, wanted extra sauces, wanted extra this, didn't want to, pay for it. Whatever the case may be. And then that should be, the 5-star rating should be up on the customer's name too. When you see John Doe 3.7 with 12 complaints, you might not take that order. And what it'll do is it will either, one, get rid of the customers that do that, or it'll send them into a point where they have to start being true about it. And if they get, if there's a mark, which DoorDash should have a mark, if your rating as a customer goes below, 3.5 or whatever the case may be, you're deactivated off our system. And it's not saying that they can't pick another one up because they could, and that's fine. We'll just have to deal with that. And then also restaurant ratings by the drivers. If you got rude staff, or like for us, DoorDash drivers and stuff complain so much, from what I understand about Chili's, that Chili's now requires us to walk in and get their order. Which, that's fine. It doesn't matter to me, honestly. But they can't tie a sack, come on now. So stuff like that. Luckily, I've got 3 cities here, 4 cities, Cleburne, Joshua, Keene, and Alvarado, and I'd say it's probably Cleburne, Joshua, Alvarado, Keene in size, and mainly Cleburne and Joshua is where we're getting most of the food from. A few things in Keene, there's a Subway and a Sonic and a bakery there, but very, very little coming out of there. But it's all, there's no real disconnect between the cities. It's not like you've got tons of, it's not like 4 miles in between, where it's just rural. We are a rural area, but everything's connected. So, and it feels like it's a fairly large zone. But most part, very rarely do I head to Alvarado, because that was a good 6 miles down the road, and back roads, if you go the right way or you get the right order and the right position, you can be 4 miles from it. I mean, it's not terribly far, and the one good thing about their deal is most of their restaurants are completely on either side of the highway. I mean, you can pull off and get to them easy. It's not like it's a major highway or anything like that. We have 35 that runs through it, but this is off another road, and you can pull in and get out fairly easily, other than the construction that they got going on right now. But anyway, so that's the 4 areas. But if you do the restaurant ratings with the service and the customer, and the politeness and stuff like that, and are you greeting the DoorDash driver? Are you asking what they're there for? And again, luckily for me, I feel like, I've done a good enough job that I am pretty friendly to everybody there. I try to greet them when I get in there, and most of them, when they see me, they know what I'm there for, and they'll just ask me, hey, what it is, and, I've had, lately it feels like we've had a lot of people down in this area taking food, drivers or whatever, or maybe not drivers, maybe just people going in there and being bold enough to just take a DoorDash order and just walk out the store with it. I don't know. But anyhow, most of them know what I'm there for, and I've had several of them tell me that, I'm their favorite driver because I don't fuss about stuff. Unless, the only one bad restaurant that I have is IHOP, where they very rarely greet you. I've been walked by 4 or 5 times by 2 or 3 people, sometimes more than once, and they never say a word. What are you here for? 10 minutes in, and they're saying, hey, what are you here for? Or whatever. And they're hugely slow. It just never seems to be ready there, and so I had totally quit even going there until I started doing Earn by Time. I figured, if they're going to do that, I can wait. But those are the things that I really think would help, and help, like I said, just drivers and DoorDash himself, because you can either weed out restaurants, which I truly believe you should. The restaurants can't provide the service timely and or friendly to the drivers, because this is a relationship between the driver, the restaurant, DoorDash, and the customer, and it all needs to be working together for it to be really efficient. But if they can't do that, they need to be off the platform. And if the customer continues to make complaints that are not valid, they need to be off the platform. And this, I think, if you start doing that, and all of a sudden they start saying, oh, I got a 3.7 rating, or I got a 5-star rating because I'm tipping well, and, I'm not complaining, I'm not asking for the driver to do extra, I think it'll help. So anyway, it's a little bit long. I wasn't thinking it was going to be this long, but, have a great one. Thank you.